Hey guys, welcome back. If you haven't seen my last video about my first 2 astral projection experiences, I'll just link that down below. So this experience was unlike any other. My first 2 experiences I kind of described as not being very exciting, or, well, I mean it was exciting in its own way, but definitely not like traveling through the universe or anything like that. So basically, just a little background story. Through my first 2 projection experiences, I couldn't really see, like sometimes I would get like a flash of something, but I was never clearly able to see anything around me, which is kind of frustrating. But in this one, let me tell you. It all started when I was lying in bed, obviously. I wasn't trying to astral project this time, which is kind of funny. So I was just casually lying there, and it was in the morning, so I woke up and then I fell back asleep. And when I started to wake up, I wasn't in, like, you know, if you wake up in your mind but your eyes are still closed, you know, like you're in your room, whatever. So it was like that, but I describe it as my consciousness not being inside my physical body, but rather in my astral body. So I woke up in my astral body, but my eyes were still closed and everything. And I felt this dark entity like standing right beside my bed. That's like typical horror story. There's like this dark entity standing right beside my bed. I couldn't see it because my eyes were closed, but I knew it was there. Like in the astral body, you just know things, like it works a little bit different than here. So like I knew exactly where it was. I kind of felt like I knew what it looked like. Anyway, so it was standing over me, and what it felt like is, it was like, you know when you make your bed and you have a blanket and you're just like doing that to make the bed? It literally felt like it was putting a thick, heavy blanket over me. Such a weird experience. Like, so I'm lying there and I feel this thing doing these like weird movements. They're all like nice and smooth, and I can't move, like I'm paralyzed, and the energy is so thick and it's so dense, like it's just weighing me down. And so I'm trying to fight it, and I know that I'm astral projecting, or I know that I'm at least in my astral body, so I'm like, okay, wake up, come on, you can get up from this, like stop experiencing this. It's kind of creepy. But I couldn't, like I literally could not go back to my physical body to wake myself up. So then I was lying there and I was like, okay, whatever, let's just do this thing. And then I got the idea, I was like, hey, like I don't actually have to deal with this. I can just respond to this as opposed to fear, which is probably what it wants and what it feeds off of. I'll just respond with love. So basically, once I realized that, it was like I was free, so then I gave it a hug. Like one of those ones that like you wrap your arms around them and you wrap your legs around them. So it was like this full, like I just grabbed on, like I just latched onto them. And as soon as I like hugged this entity, it just like neutralized, like boom, just like that, and it just kind of like disappeared. But then after that, I was back in my body, so I had to like get out of my body again. So when I got out of my body, it feels like it normally does. It feels like you're just really light, and it's very distinct, like how you feel when you go into your astral body. You just feel so light, and it's almost like cool air, like just leaving your physical body, if that makes any sense. Anyway, so I get out, and normally what I do is I try to like roll off my bed. So I roll off, but I have to go, so I'm facing this way, and then when I roll off, I go like this, and I'm always going like face first down into the ground. So like hit the ground, but it's always graceful, like it's just nice, graceful, it doesn't hurt or anything. So I'm on the ground, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get up. So then I get up and I'm actually standing up, and it felt so realistic, like the coldness of the floor, like my weight of what my body would feel like if I was in my physical body standing up, like that kind of weight. It felt exactly like that. So I actually thought that I got out of bed, like I actually stood up and was just standing there, and I was like, what the heck, am I even astral projecting? And then once I wanted to go towards the stairs, I like went back down to the ground, and I was like floating like to the steps. And then once I start walking, or trying to crawl up the steps rather, shall I say, because that's basically what I was doing. I was like crawling up the steps. And I was still wondering, I'm like, am I even projecting? Like this feels so real. And then as I'm going up the stairs, I'm only using my hands, and I realize the rest of my body is like floating horizontally. So I'm like, okay, well there's no way that I could do this in like physical life. So then I was like, okay, I'm projecting. Awesome, this is sweet. So then I like go up the stairs, because my room is in the basement. So I go up the stairs up to like where my living room would be, and I still can't see, but that's the goal of this astral projection. I want to be able to see. So once I get upstairs, then I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, I just want to see, I want clarity, because that's what I've heard that you're supposed to do, opposed to just trying to like physically open your eyes, because last time in my last video that didn't work out. I just ended up going back to my physical body. So I was just thinking it, and then slowly like my vision starts coming out and it's like really clear. Like it's not like dream vision where you kind of remember it and it's kind of fuzzy, you can't see many details. It's just when you're able to see in your astral body, it's like you're actually looking at something, like it's so crisp. Anyway, so I'm starting to open my eyes and I'm struggling. Like I was in my living room, but it wasn't exactly like all the walls were down, it was just one big box, like one big room, I guess. So I'm trying to see and it's like I'm kind of struggling and it keeps like fading back in and out my vision, and then I hear this voice start speaking to me and I'm like, what the heck is that coming from? It literally sounded like it was coming from a radio, but like there was no source of the sound. So this woman started speaking to me and she was like, stop focusing on trying to see, focus on the light prisms. Trying to think about how to describe how my vision was, but basically it was just like everything was so beautiful. Like the walls, there'd be like deep pink, and then as you look further up the wall, like as you get closer to the ceiling, the pink gets starts to fade, so it's like really deep, like vibrant pink, and then it starts to fade into like more of a white. Anyway, so I was focusing on these colors. Like when she said focus on the light prisms, it just makes complete sense. It's kind of hard to describe it. It's like you know when it snows outside and then you see when you see the snow on the ground, it's like sparkling. So it's kind of like those little tiny sparkles that make up that color, and it was just so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm just looking at it like, oh my god, I could just stay here forever. Anyway, so I start floating around the room once my vision was fully intact. And yeah, like I just felt so distracted, like I was just looking at everything and admiring like patterns on this table, and then I was just looking at figurines that were set about. All in the meantime, this woman is like speaking to me, and so I'm kind of like listening, kind of not, because I find in the astral body or in the astral dimension, it's very difficult to focus on something. Like everything is just there to distract you, basically. So she's speaking to me and she's telling me about this man who used to live in my house, and I remember hearing that he was killed in a genocide or something. And then after that I couldn't really remember what she was saying because I was distracted with like the patterns on the tables and stuff. But basically she was talking and it was so clear, and I was actually looking for her voice. I'm like, where the hell are you coming from? And I was like convinced that a radio was on or something, but I could not find any source of the radio. Something else that I noticed was that I felt like complete static. Like I felt so electric that it was almost painful. Like, you know when you get close to something that's exuding a lot of electricity, you feel like the static, like, oh, like on the front of your TV screen, if you ever put your hand like really close to it and you feel that like static, that's basically what my whole body felt like. And there was crackling coming from around where my feet were, so I was like, what the heck? Why is there crackling? So then I'm like, as I'm looking around the room, I'm actually flying at this point, which is really nice. But it was very difficult to control. Like it's not something that, it's something that you control with your will. It's not like I'm gonna move forward now. It's more just like I know where I want to go and it just goes anyways. When I wasn't paying attention to it, it was easy, but then as soon as I was thinking about like, oh, I want to see this and I want to do this, whatever, it was like very difficult to manage, and I started like going upside down. So I was upside down and I'm like flying around. It's like one of those fish, I don't know if you've ever seen those, like the little pencil fish that like are basically upside down and they just like float in the tank like that. That's exactly how I felt. Like I felt so weird. And I was trying to listen, I was trying to bring my feet closer to my head so I can listen to the crackle. Anyway, it's just so weird, and I was like upside down forever. So I was like, I want to leave this room. So I was like, okay, I'll just fly through the ceiling. As soon as I tried to leave and I flew up like towards the ceiling, I actually couldn't pass through the ceiling. And it was like at that moment I had this like sudden realization that or sudden knowing that this was kind of like a training room, almost like set up in a way to help me like hone in on being more efficient in the astral body and learning how things work and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever, like I guess I can't leave. Like right after that, then I just thought about being in my physical body, and then boom, I was like right back into my physical body, and I was like, dang, that was nice, that was spicy. If you guys have had any out-of-body experiences, I would love to hear them down in the comments below. If you want to see more content, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!